Callum, there's talk that Michael Smith is going to miss a few weeks. That's doing the rounds today. What's the situation with Michael Smith?
Yeah, he's picked up a little niggly injury that we're just trying to get to the bottom of it. So we're just not risking things with him at the moment because it's pointless risking things with him at the moment. So we're just taking every precaution with him at the moment. And as I said, the only good thing about it, Robert, is that it's a little niggly, and it's probably something that we're just assessing at the moment that we don't want to turn into a big deal really at the moment. So it's more precaution than anything.
So at the moment, you don't anticipate that he is going to miss a number of weeks?
No, not at the moment, because it is a niggly, but it's just one of those ones that's niggling and it just won't go away. So the thing is opening him up to a full-scale, full-blown game and something substantial happening with him. So at the moment, we're just being really precautious with him at the moment, and just making sure that we're getting on top of it, because our thing is for Michael is not him being available for 1 or 2 games. You know, we want him for the course of the season, and if we can keep this injury avoidable from turning into something substantial, then we've got enough to know about it to not let it turn into that.
With Smith having an issue and with Gregory suspended, it does sound a little bit like you're short up front. Is anybody else a doubt for this MK Dons in the attacking areas, Darren?
No, we just get on. That's football, isn't it, Rob? You know, sometimes these things just come along, and that's football. And you just move along with it, really. At any split second, at any time, anything can happen, and you just got to be adaptable for it. So, with those two, like I said, you know, in the situation that they're in, we have to, you know, the game comes, and we just got to get on with it, and we will get on with it.
There was a whisper doing the rounds that a striker shortage might get the Malik Wilkes deal nudged over the line. Has there been any progress there?
Rob, I keep saying I can't talk about any other players because that's not for us to talk about any other players. What we just try and do is focus in-house with what we got in here, and that's exactly what we'd do. I can't stop the speculation, as you know, but we'll just focus on here and just get on with what we need to get on with tomorrow's game on the horizon.
I just wonder though, I mean, Hull's chief executive has openly talked on the record about Sheffield Wednesday's interest. So, I mean, do you think you can get this one over the line finally?
Rob, again, and sorry for the old cliche, it wasn't me what spoke about that on record or anything like that, you know, and as I said, the player's not our player to discuss, and we won't discuss it. What we will just do is just focus on the game tomorrow, and then we'll go there. I know there's a lot of been speculation with it, and I know there's been a lot of media attention with it, but what we just got to just do is focus on it, and we'll take things day by day.
Yeah, there's a couple of names doing the round. Cal Joseph at Swansea's been linked as well. I just wonder, you know, how crucial is it to get another attacker in, given some of the issues you've got with injuries and maybe needing somebody up there? And although you're not willing to comment on names specifically, is anything close?
Yeah, I think what you have, and what I will agree with you there, Rob, is that, you know, in terms of more attacking options and more having an attacking threat, yeah, I think that's fair to say. Is anything close? Again, Rob, you know, my message is always clear with it, because I've been successfully getting deals done, and I've been bitten with getting deals done. So a deal's only done until it's done, and you know, the contract signed. Up until then, we keep pushing, we keep trying, but also within it, we've got a focus within there because we're planning and preparing for games. But I do agree with you in that aspect. In terms of names being spoken about, I can't really comment much on the names really, because from a professional stance, I can't do that, because as I said, you know, those players don't belong to us, and yeah, we're going to be linked with them with a whole host of other clubs, because some of the names you mentioned, they're all good players.
I just wonder as well, with Gregory definitely out and Smith sounds like he's going to be missing at the weekend, do you feel like you've got enough to really test the MK Dons in the final third, and is there going to be a little bit more pressure on maybe some of the other players in the team to help out in this game, whether that's chipping in with a goal or producing a goal for whoever ultimately does start up front for you?
Yeah, and rightly so. Sometimes if a door should close for one, then it opens the door for another to stake a claim and grab it with both hands. And we just feel that really, that you know, the game's coming, we go there in the best possible frame of mind and ready to go. It'll be another great game, an excellent game, a wonderful arena and everything else, and you know, both teams and both clubs that know each other really well. So in terms of the individuals who's called upon in the squad, it's another opportunity for them to perform, and whatever players we decide to go with tomorrow, we're looking for performance, and we're looking for that competition of places to get even fiercer and sterner amongst the players within it, and that's what we want here. So the opportunity might open itself for one or two tomorrow, and we just want the performance.
Reports in the Dutch media suggesting Silas might be edging closer to that move to De Graafschap. Is there an update there?
He's the best thing I can just say to you, Rob, is that, you know, he's part of the squad tomorrow. I mean, I can't sort of elaborate too much on that, because has he trained today? Yes. Is he in the squad tomorrow? Yes, he's in the squad tomorrow, ready to travel. So you know, he'll be down there with us tomorrow. So where those reports are coming from at the moment, I can't really shed much light on it in terms of, but what I can tell you is that he's travelling with the squad tomorrow.
What's been the message this week to the team to try and take the positives from the Portsmouth game and build on that, but maybe avoid a repeat of the goals you conceded against Portsmouth? Yeah,
the messages have been, I mean, it was a breathtaking 35 or 40 minutes we started the game with, and it's more to stay consistently on it really in terms of the game, because you know, the first half was a very good first half for us in terms of the creativity and in terms of the control of the game, and nullifying Portsmouth to 0 chances on our goal really. So it was certainly a game of two halves in terms of where we was at in the first half and where the second half went. And in terms of how the second half went, the only positives we can take from the second half is the character and the spirit to come back in the manner where a game that we looked odds on to go and win, such as football, that it can turn itself in a split second, and in a game where we looked like we were going to lose, we've managed to come out of it with a point where we feel as a group it shouldn't have got to that level. Obviously concentration levels as well have got to be absolutely pinpoint for 90 minutes, and that's another part of the game that we've spoken about in terms of the levels and consistency that we need to be at, because we spoke about as a group in terms of what the first half looked like and what the second half looked like. Yes, more of the first half, certainly lesser or if not 0 of what the second half has done. And I think the players and myself and the coaching staff have seen that. So we've had two aspects of the game where we've seen a performance in terms of the high level, in terms of what we expect. And then the second half, it sort of lapses of concentration. And as I said, there was decisions made on the pitch through the honesty of it, but just wrong decisions at the wrong times, which led to the goals being conceded. So from that, Rob, you can only learn and sort of develop in terms of a squad going forward. But the message has not just been to the 11 players that was on the pitch at the time. The messages have gone to the whole squad, because at any time any other players can step in, Rob, and they're expected to perform at the level or remember how the game can serve a nasty reminder that if you do come off it, what's lying in wait.
Was there anything else when you reviewed the goals, other than maybe a lapse in concentration, that you could say to the players, look, this is why you've conceded 3 very similar goals, this is why this is somewhat of a repeat of previous issues from last season, this is how you need to deal with it better to finally solve this issue that's been around for a while?
We thought when you look back at the game, we thought the first half was exceptional in terms of how we set and dictated the game. I thought second half, through our own doing, we just come off that, and then we allowed the other team to grow in confidence with that, because we'd come off it in terms of the energy. And that's where the game serves a purpose, that if you're not consistently on it, Rob, in terms of focus, determination, concentration, professionalism, then, you know, the game serves as a nasty reminder, and that's what it did. Take nothing away from Portsmouth. They took the opportunities when they did come, but we thought that those opportunities when they did come were certainly avoidable. So that's another thing where it served itself in terms of that. And that's what we look back on. We weren't happy with it, disappointed with it, because obviously it was a game that we wanted to win, certainly at home in front of our home fans. And certainly when you look at the balance and the course of the game, we certainly did enough to win. But the scoreline didn't reflect that. It's about keeping the ball out your net in one end and putting the ball in the back of the net. And though we did it at the one end, we certainly didn't. And if you'd have said to me today, last week, that we were scoring 3 goals, you would have expected the 3 points, certainly at home, in terms of how the home form's been. We wanted to win the game. We didn't make sure that we didn't lose the game in terms of it, but it served as a reminder, and it can only serve as a reminder. We've had a good week to work in training, Rob, and we look forward to what's going to be a very different game tomorrow against a team that, well, we've seen the exploits, what they showed last season. So we're coming up against a very, very good opponents tomorrow again.
You had a choice to make in goal with 2 candidates making a strong claim to start. How do you think David Stockdale performed against Portsmouth?
Yeah, I think Stocky probably started well again, just like the team did. And I think the second half probably reflected in terms of where the team was at. So I don't think it was any particular individual. I just think it's where the team went collectively as a group. Remember, Rob, I always say that, you know, I really firmly believe that we'll score goals as a team, and if we concede goals, we concede goals as a team, even though there's individuals in there. So I think in terms of the performance, it was a reflection on how the team done in the first half, and certainly how the team was in the second half, a little bit indecisive and just coming off in terms of where, as we've spoken about, setting high standards here. And in terms of what it really matters in terms of playing and performing for Sheffield Wednesday. And I think last week just served as a little reminder with that, in terms of that this division, no matter what club you are, your reputation serves no purpose in this division in terms of it. And I think that was a clear, stark reminder to everybody last week.
Just finally, we had a chat with Dele Bashiru after the game. He said if the right deal comes along, he would definitely sign a contract extension at Sheffield Wednesday. I just wonder, in the last few days, has that right deal come along, Darren?
Well, I hope, Rob, that, you know, the next time or every time when I speak to you, I said it's done. I get it, you know, players talk and advisors talk, and I get where it's at, and it's part and parcel of it. What I will just say is we'll keep talking. The biggest thing for me with Fizz is making sure that the contractual side of that part, that's being taken care of by, you know, the club and his advisors. The biggest thing for me and him on the front line is him keep doing what he's doing. And certainly as his manager, it's wonderful to see that certain works that he did doing with him come through last week. And we felt that what he showed last week, he showed that last season. The only difference is last week, Rob, he's put the ball in the back of the net from 2 distant strikes, but 2 strikes with precision, perfection, and excellent contact and execution from it. And that was Fizz, really, and 2 powerful strikes that, when you look at both of them, they were past the keeper before he'd even moved, really, but that's his, because we feel he's got that in him. We just want to see more of that now at the top end of the pitch, because we feel his work for 3/4 of the pitch is good. It's that final bit where he gets people sort of licking their lips and rubbing their hands in terms of what a performance from the young player. So we just want him to keep going in what he's showing, and I just feel that all the rest of the bits and pieces will take care of himself. Because I said to him, you're at a fantastic club, that all your dreams and aspirations, you can fulfill it right here and right now, and you're starting to show that potential that we've seen in you, and this season's a big season for him.
Thanks for your time, Dan.
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.
Darren, afternoon. How you doing?
Afternoon, Al. Yeah, fine, thanks.
Good stuff. Injuries, Darren. Injuries again. It's the club's responsibility one way or another. We've spoken last week about the investigation and all the rest of it. I wondered if you could explain some of the issues that have been identified in that investigation. You spoke of red flags. Are there any specifics perhaps that you can sort of explain to the fan base? We're clearly, frustrated really at the level of injuries that the club seems to be getting.
Yeah. So what we did was when we did all those testing, when I said the red flags, what showed up was we felt that there was weaknesses in hamstrings, weaknesses in groins, the jump test, weaknesses in the. So what we did was those were what we call red flags in terms of it. So what we did was then you devise a program in strengthening those areas and making sure that the balance and coordination in terms of the bodies. So one player may be heavily loaded on his right hand side where there's a real weakness on his left hand side. It's making sure that we're working to strengthen the weaknesses of that left hand side so it sort of balances itself out. So those were areas. Introducing yoga, so the players are constantly doing on a stretching program each and every single week, recovery after games and things like that really. A cryo lab for the players to go in and recover properly in limited space of time but getting the maximum usage, and upgrading the sports science in terms of nutrition, strengthening programs, getting rest, recovery. So all those kind of things have been taken into heavily consideration in terms of prevention and not cure. We can do all this, like I said, Alex, and which I'm explaining to all the fans, and all those have been taken into consideration. Even with working at the football pitches in getting one company to do both the training pitch at the training ground and at the stadium. So when you go into those greater levels in terms of working with certain foods in nutrition that provide certain things for the body, all those are taken into consideration. And I'm not saying we're doing anything different here at Sheffield Wednesday to what other clubs are doing. I'm just explaining to the fan base in what we've identified an area in the club that we've been trying to work from and making sure that we're doing as best as we possibly can to avoid that. One of the things is unavoidable is the contact of it. It's the contact, and that's the bits and pieces that we have no control over, because it's a high level competitive game. So though we're doing what we're doing, we still can't take away the contact side of the game in training and in games. But that's what I wanted to explain, going into detail to the supporters and to yourself really, in terms of what's gone on here, but also, Alex, what's consistently going on as well. In those areas, the players are constantly getting checked in it, so we're doing as best as we possibly can.
You mentioned last week, and you touched on it there, about the pitches, the pitch and texture, I think, is the words that you use. Can you explain a little bit about that? Is it the case that the pitch at the training ground were different to Hillsborough, or what's the situation there? Yeah,
we felt that with in terms of the pitches to where it was at the training ground to where it was at Hillsborough. Vice versa, one of the surfaces was probably harder in terms of the other. So that was looked upon as well, really in great detail, and in terms of managing the pitches, we've worked incredibly hard on both the training ground surface and the stadium, and I can report that the training ground pitches are in good order, and everybody would have saw last week for the opening game of the season how immaculate it was. So credit to the ground staff. As I said, we're all working together as best as we possibly can in making sure that we're trying to do as best as we can, and in every level, really. So those are some of the things I'm able to sort of shed some light on in terms of that, but probably at the time you wasn't able to because we were still going through the reports and everything else going on from there really. Whereas now I'm able, because those things have been put in place and have happened, I can share that openly, what has taken place in terms of that. So it's not something that we've saw and happen, it is something that we've identified and thinking, well, what can we best do in all areas to make sure that we're doing as best as we can so that those things are not happening, or we're trying to prevent them from happening as best as we can.
Great stuff. Sorry, in terms of Michael's, my internet was a bit dodgy early doors, so apologies if you've gone through this. In terms of Michael's injury, was that an impact injury? Did you go into the detail of what the injury actually is?
No, we felt it was just a niggle. We think it was a contact one that was in pre-season, a contact one, but because it was a niggle, it's just never just gone away. And even though you've seen him train and play on it, it's just never gone away. We just got to a stage where now it's the start of the season, getting into it, and it still ain't really eased up. He's going to go full pelt and full blown. And one thing what we just don't want to do is maybe aggravate that. And as I said, we're monitoring it, so hopefully it won't be anything too long.
Brilliant. Okay. And then just finally from me, with Gregors and Smudge now out, potentially a big opportunity for Callum Paterson to come back in. How's he doing with his recovery?
Yeah, fine. Plato's fine. Trained again today, and he's fine. So yeah, he's okay. He looks okay to me. It's fine. He's been training with the group and everything else, so he's fine.
Is it potentially a big opportunity for him tomorrow? You know, you look at the skill sets. I know you're not going to give away your team news, Darren. That's not your style. But you look at the skill sets, maybe the players that are out. Maybe a big chance for Callum tomorrow.
What I will say, Alex, is yeah, he's part of the squad. So we'll have a look tomorrow in terms of what we decide to go with in terms of going forward. But as I said, you know, he's trained this week and trained with the group, so we'll have a look tomorrow.
Great stuff. It was worth a go. All right,
Cheers.
I'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Cheers.
You alright, Darren? How's it going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Joe.
Good stuff. Just wanted to ask about the sort of midfield positions. Obviously, you had Massimo playing that defensive midfielder role last season. Massa's gone now. Of the guys that you've got there, do you see one of them being more of a standout in that defensive midfielder role, or do you plan all of them to sort of fill in there when they need to?
Yeah, no, they can fill in there because, as you know, there's not a specific in them because there's great rotation in there that we feel. But obviously, all of them, you look at Tariq's played in that base. George has, we know Will can play there. So we feel that there's adequate versatility that can play in there. And when you look at those base there, Joe, they can equally play at the base, they can equally play higher up the pitch. And even last year, when you cast your mind back to the start of the season with the injuries that we had, Barry Bannon played at the base, and the pleasing thing for Baz was at the base in how controlled he was for the team. So in terms of sacrificing his game, being higher up the pitch, Baz was actually at the base. And then obviously towards the second half of the season, when Massimo Luongo got fit and George Byers got fit, we found a nice little blend with those three in the midfield, really. But when you look back at it, Joe, Baz has played at the base, and sometimes this season you saw Baz at the base and equally be there. So, and we feel that there's good versatility with the midfield players in there, and learning to when they're playing high up the pitch and at the base, because at any time in the game they can find themselves in that position when you're in the midfield.
Yeah, definitely. With Fizz, just sort of following on from midfield, is Fizz okay? Obviously, he hobbled off the other day. Is he all right for the game this weekend?
Yeah, no, Fizz is fine, and that, you know, he's had another good weeks of training, so he's fine, and yeah, we were certainly pleased with his showing last week.
Just wanted to ask about Josh Windass. There's a little bit of talk online from various people that Josh has picked up a bit of an injury. Is there any truth in that, or is Josh fine for this weekend?
He's trained again, Joe. So, like I said, you know, he's fine, and I can't stop the talk, what's going out there. I can only comment on in terms of it. So yeah, he's trained.
No, that's really good news. Just lastly for me, you touched on it earlier with Silla. It's actually one of the members of the team at the Graf Shop in Holland that have said about Silla going over. There's been talk of it possibly getting done today. Is with Silla, I know that you can't talk, you won't talk too much about it, but is Silla a player that, if the right thing came up, you would be willing to sort of let him leave?
I don't think that's certainly for me to comment now in terms of that, because every player's got their position to play in terms of play for the team. What I can't do, Joe, is I can't stop what's gone out there. I can't stop that, and where and why it's come up in that nature, I don't know. What I'm not going to do is waste time on it, because I've got a game to focus on tomorrow, and that's all I've been doing. And I understand these bits and pieces come about in football. I'm just going to comment on in terms of where we're at. Silla's been training all week. He's trained again today. And like Silla, like all the boys, they're competing to try and get in the squad and to want to perform. I've got a group of players that not only they competing every single week to get in the squad, but then I've got a group of players that when they play, they want to stay and maintain and build their fitness and that. And Silla's no different. In terms of where them reports come from, I don't know and why they've come about. If they are interested in him, they know the legal approach that they need to make, and that's how it is. And in terms of any players coming in and going out, there's a process that needs to happen, and that's where we need to be at with it. I don't stop the interest from coming in. I can't stop it with Silla, as do with all the other players. What I know, there's a process, and if that process is not met in the right terms for any of the players, then we know that we just carry on and focus on the games and the week's training and performing well.
Cheers. See you down there tomorrow, Dan.
Cheers, Joe. You too.
Hey Darren, how you doing?
Afternoon, Dom.
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. What's the latest with Dennis Adena?
Dennis is fine. Yeah, no, fine, absolutely fine. He's trained as well. He's fine back in the squad. I said to you, before that he had a little bit of fluid on the knee, and we've taken that off, and he's been back in training, and he's fine as far as I can see with him. He's okay.
So he is fit enough to be in contention for tomorrow, should you decide to select him?
Yeah, we feel that in terms of where he's been at in training. We feel that, like I said, he's got the adequate training that he's got in, that he's needed to get in. And he's another one that's competing with the squad in terms of looking to get in with his level of performances in training. And then when he does get in, looking for that level of performance to perform, to compete and stay in the team.
It's a boost, isn't it? You've got a couple of players back for this weekend.
Yeah, like I said, usually when you come off the back of pre-season, players have been overloaded with exercises and fitness because you're trying to get there. What the players are doing now is from pre-season is everybody wants to play, because what happens is from training, you get your match fitness by playing the games. So, there's two elements of it. It's performing and then getting in the team and then building to build that match fitness and that match sharpness.
You've got, I think, over 6,000 Wednesday fans who are going to Milton Keynes this weekend. How determined are the team to put on a show for them?
That's fantastic to hear again, that the large travelling support will be there in the numbers and in full voice. And it's great to hear. We're looking forward to it, the game, but to be backed by that large, that away day travel again is wonderful, really. And as I said, we feel here that Wednesday, the players certainly feel, and we feel that, every time when we pull the jersey on, how much it means to us all, really. So we got another game tomorrow. We know the MK Dons will be a great game. We know they're strong opposition. We know what they did last season. and in terms of the style of play they brought last season. So we know it's going to be another tough match. With the 6,000 fans going down there, will add to the atmosphere in the ground. And what a wonderful arena it will be in there tomorrow with the 6,000 fans or more fans backing us all the way tomorrow.
Where does that win at Milton Keynes last season, Darren, where's that sort of rank for you in your time in charge at Wednesday?
If I remember that, looking back at the game, it was a good level performance from us, but it was a high level game. I thought it was a real good game by both teams. I thought how both teams played and went about the game was really entertaining, and in terms of our performance on the day was really good. I thought our work in terms of off the ball was good, and then our use on the ball was good. So in terms of both, that side of it was really good and scored some good goals. So, but it was a game that we was heavily tested. Both teams, delivered performances in moments in the game that was exceptional, I thought, and I thought it was a high level game really when my mind looks back at it.
MK Dons just missed out on automatic promotion last season. There's been quite a lot of incomings, outgoings for them this summer in terms of personnel. Would you still expect them to be up there from the end of this season?
Yeah, because the level of that performance last season doesn't just go amiss just like that, really. And I know there's been probably a high level of turnaround of players going in and going out, but the dynamics of the club still remain the same. The focus still remains the same in terms of it. So that's something that you look at. And when you look at last season, along with ourselves and them, amassed over 80 odd points, and to amass that, I think we spoke about 7 or 8 teams nearly amassing over 80 odd points, and they were in that along with ourselves. So it shows the level, Dom, of the competition for where League One was at last season, and I predict the same again for this season.
Carlton Palmer said yesterday that you've got the best squad in League One. Is he right, Darren?
We'll see after 46 games.
But there could be a few more auditions before the end of the month.
We'll see at the end of the month.
Got to try, haven't we, Darren?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Darren.
Cheers, Tar. Thank you.
Afternoon, Darren. How are you?
Hello, Stu. Yeah, you okay?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Just listening to you talking to Alex there, and just going into the minute detail of all the things you're trying to do in terms of injury prevention and all this. You're clearly working very hard on the little details. So how frustrating is it after the first game you're talking about concentration, goals from crosses, not maintaining, the standard for 90 minutes, these things that kept cropping up last season?
Yeah, obviously, it's another part of the game that it challenges as much as playing the game. There's always decisions to be made at every moment on the pitch, and there's always grey areas to the game where, as individuals, you can't never recreate that same moment again. Stu, I can work 100 hours this week on the training ground creating things, and tomorrow it'll be totally different, because that's how it is. What we're trying to get in the players to do is be prepared for the unexpected at any time, and it's just the mindset and mentality really in terms of getting that to them. The good players, the solid players, otherwise they wouldn't be at the level where they've been at in terms of playing for the club. So they've proven that. What we've got to do now, we feel as a group, is find that rhythm and that consistency, and try and find it early. And every manager and every team wants to find it quickly. Some can do it after one game, some it might take 1 or 2, 3, 4 games, but our desire is to find it and find it quickly. But we felt that we did it in the first half, but we know football, the match is not played over 45 minutes. It's 90 plus minutes, and that's what it calls for and the demands. And the very, very best teams in any division or any sportsman or woman's career, usually the best individuals or team have that in abundance, that concentration and that level to perform at the absolute best over the 90 minutes. And that's something here that we aspire to do, and something that we'll continue to work towards in finding that. And that's what we have to do. You know, we had one first half of it last week where we saw the moments in terms of what the team's capable of doing, but then we saw moments in the second half through what I put down of lapses of concentration and just through honesty in making certain decisions turned out to be the wrong decisions at the time, what just cost us last week. So it served as a reminder. Like I said before, Stu, the positives, what I did, took it, the character by the players, that when things went against them in the second half, they didn't let it derail the focus in the game, and we responded in the right manner in terms of when the game went from 1-1 to 2-2 to 3-2, we responded in the right manner, which was pleasing to see. Not to say that we want to be in that position.
And I mean, how do you sort of coach more concentration and more sort of consistency over 90 minutes into players? It seems like a very difficult thing to do.
Mindset and mentality, and keep regurgitating the messages throughout the week. And again, you can consistently do that. As I said to you, you know, tomorrow the environment will be different. The game, the speed, the texture of the game, a different arena, so many different things that you got to put them to one side and almost sort of go into like a zone in terms of it. And it's just trying to get the players, not just individually but collectively, to do that. And I think the biggest thing was sometimes you learn, or sometimes the incidents can allow you to or force you to learn from it, and that's all we can sort of wish for and hopefully expect that we've learned from it in terms of a group. As I said, you know, Stu, you can go through 100 hours and I just think it's mindset and mentality with it, and certainly last week served as a reminder that identified that.
And to what extent do you have to accept that, you know, these aren't Premier League players, they're not robots, these things are going to happen, and to what extent you have to just keep pushing away for perfection even though you know you'll never get them?
Yeah, and that's it. That's what makes the game so beautiful at times, because as much as individual brilliance that we can see in the game, we can see there's another side where it's just human error, you know, and that's just the game. It's why we probably love the game so much, because we can all watch the game, and we were just short of 27,000 down there, and I can guarantee if we all filled out of a form, we'd have 27 different responses on the game, yet we've watched the same game. And that's such a beautiful thing with the game of football, that, you know, everybody's opinion from the different angle of what they saw the game, they just see totally different from you know, from whichever area you watch the game from the stadium. So that's what we're trying to do, but we're trying to eliminate that, focus on what we're about, making sure that we're trying to play to the best of our ability and stay consistent on our performance. And I think that's something that no matter where you are and what you're doing, it's something that you will consistently be working towards, because even if you do find it, Stu, you want to be better. So there's always something that you're working towards consistently over the course of the week in training and certainly for the games.
And just finally for me, just on Josh Windass, you talked specifically about his fitness for Saturday, but where is he in terms of the bigger picture? It's obviously a long time since he's had a run of competitive matches. Are you in a position at the moment where you're having to sort of manage him a little bit, or is he, you know, off the leash now?
Hopefully, I mean, you know, we'll have a look when the games start coming thick and fast, when, you know, the midweek games start coming, and we're looking at the volume over the course of the month. Obviously that will dictate, and it just won't be Josh Windass, that'll be the group in general. So, but I would imagine, speaking on him as an individual, where he'll want to be is just a level of consistency and performances, and getting back to where we know Josh Windass can be, because certainly he's certainly a game changer for us. He's a good player, missed a large chunk of last season, but he's back now. He's had a full pre-season, and he was fit and available to start the game. And he laid on a wonderful assist for Marvin to score his goal. So, and I saw moments in his game of brilliance that I thought, but there's parts to his game that he'll develop and get better and get stronger as the season wears on, as he trains with the group and he's performing and playing games. As long as he stays fit, then he'll get stronger and get better, and things will automatically come back to him where we know he can be so effective. So we're hoping for a real consistent season for him, that he keeps fit, and if we can keep him fit in that, then he'll be a real important player for us.
Great. Thanks very much for your time, Darren. Good luck.
Thanks, Stu.